My name is JoAnn Gonzales, Gama, and I grew up in the inner city of Houston, Texas, actually. I was born and raised in Houston. Went to elementary, middle school, and high school in Houston. Actually graduated from Sam Houston High School in 1993. Well, probably like many kids growing up in a low-income community, in a low-income household, I've worked, as far back as I can remember, I worked, when I was in middle school, I babysat a lot. When I was in high school, I held a variety of different jobs. I worked at Kroger's, I worked at Sonic, I worked at a barbecue restaurant. Was like many other, kids who are in college these days. I worked full-time, while I went to college. And the reason I mention all of those things is because I think I've always just had a tremendous work ethic, and I've always worked, and I've always worked really hard, and I've always thought the harder I work, the more I'm going to do and the more my earning potential is going to be. But ultimately chose to go to Boston University in Boston, Massachusetts, simply because of the financial aid package. Obviously working at IDEA and being a mom and a wife is full-time jobs in and of itself, but there are a few things obviously that I'm really passionate about. One is education, and so I was really honored when I was asked to serve on President Obama's Commission or Advisory Board for Educational Excellence for Hispanics. And so I'd convene probably 4 times a year in DC with a variety of other Latino leaders across the nation to really address educational issues that were specific to Latinos in a variety of different communities, predominantly Latino-heavy communities across the nation. And then one of the second things that I'm really passionate about, and we don't see it as much here in the Valley because the Valley is such a homogenous community in terms of, nearly everyone here is Latino, nearly everyone here is Mexican American, but you don't see that outside of the Valley. And there are a lot of times when I'm at conferences or I'm at meetings, and often I'm the only Latino there. I'm the only Latino representing what is quickly becoming our nation's largest, minority, right? Or becoming our nation's majority. And so with a few other colleagues of mine who are in different parts of the nation, we have launched an organization called Latinos for Education, which is really focused on ensuring that there are more Latino leaders at the table, that there are more Latino leaders in education who are leading schools, who are serving on school boards, who are serving on nonprofits, and that our voice is heard, inspiring Latinos to take those upper management positions, those C-level positions, and make sure that they're taking a seat at the table. The things that help us grow and the things that make it easier are the people that we recruit to work at IDEA. And those people individually do really innovative things to make it work. Well, everybody's really mobile these days. There's a lot of video conferencing that happens. All of our what we call regional superintendents really work from their car. Their car is considered their home office because they're driving up and down the highway, visiting schools, coaching principals, coaching teachers, making sure that everybody's getting better. So there's a lot of things that we do in terms of that type of management. But if I look at the school, a lot of folks ask, what are you doing differently within your schools? Parents, I feel, look at schools now almost like we used to look at colleges and universities, right? Particularly if you're thinking of middle school, and especially if you're thinking of high schools, right? People are looking at the high school experience in terms of what do you have to offer, my child? In those early years, one of the things that we looked at closely was demand. And people say, why do you have 61 schools? We have 61 schools because there are still students and families that are applying to IDEA that we're not able to admit, that we don't have room for in terms of our school size. We had over 45,000 students apply for those 6,000 spots that we had. We're going to continue to grow here in the Rio Grande Valley. Next year we'll be opening a campus in Edcalchelsa, which is a new community for the first time. We'll be opening another school in Far. This year we opened a school in Rio Grande City, which is taking us to Starr County for the very first time. We're going to continue to add schools in San Antonio. I think our goal in San Antonio is that no matter where you live in San Antonio, you're 10 minutes from an IDEA school. We have 6 schools in Austin. In the next 5 years, we plan to add 20 more schools. And so when you take all of that growth in our regions, as well as the new regions that we're opening. By 2022, we'll be operating 173 schools serving 100,000 students.